Hi, everyone, and welcome to Organizing Life's Daily Demands. My name is Peter Gordon, and I'm the president of New York Financial Organizers. And we're daily money managers, and we help people pay their bills and process insurance claims and all the non-investment side of personal finance. And the purpose of of our service is to help people organize their lives and daily demands. And the purpose of this podcast is to introduce us to other people who do the same for different parts of our listeners' lives. And today I'm very excited to have Todd Keitz of One Day, One Week, among many other projects and businesses, and as our guest. So welcome, Todd. How are you today?
I'm good, Peter. Thanks for having me.
Sure. So, Todd, we met through LinkedIn, and we've gotten to know each other a little bit. But tell our audience about yourself and your background and how you got to do what you're doing now.
Sure. Well, going to sort of give a Cliff's Notes version, of course. I am currently living in South Florida. I relocated here 5 years ago when my mom got ill, and then subsequently my dad. So prior to that, I had co-founded a fintech startup. I had been also in and on the periphery of the healthcare industry for many years. So what I'm doing now with my parents, having been caregiver and patient advocate for almost 5 years, has led me to a couple of new endeavors.
And what are those endeavors?
I thought you wouldn't ask. So I started, as you see above me, originally called One Day, One Week.com, which is a blog. It really ended up being a cathartic experience of a caregiver and a patient advocate for at that point in time, it was first my mom and then my dad, and sort of sharing. And because I felt it could help other caregivers and patient advocates, family members who are either in that role or maybe in that role, understand what that can be like. That morphed relatively quickly into also doing a podcast called Caregiving Insights, and that's a YouTube channel. And there I have guests that similarly, I believe, can help caregivers and patient advocates, and of course, the general public, families and so forth, understand all various aspects of healthcare, not just caregiving and patient advocacy, although that's a big focus of it.
Sure.
And then finally, what that led to was the development of an app, a web and mobile app, which is in beta testing right now. We are moving towards a launch we're hoping the end of March, might slip into April, but that's okay. The purpose of that is because it's going to ideally reach millions of people. It'll be a way for them to go on for free, connect, share, and support each other in caregiving and patient advocacy, as well as have fun. That's the key. And there's a lot of interesting features on there, including a marketplace where people can buy products, books, and services.
I like that, have fun, because a lot of times we don't think of caregiving and fun necessarily. Although about my own experience, and being a caregiver for my parents, I found it very enjoyable, spending and fun at times, but also very spiritual. And, so it really all depends on how you look at at being a caregiver and what your attitude is. And it sounds like this app could further help people with their experiences being a caregiver. Could you tell us a little more about it?
Sure. The app itself, as I mentioned, is in beta testing. We're having a lot of fun with this. Beta testing, for folks who don't know, you're going through and working out as many kinks as you can before launching, the key aspect.
Trying to break it.
Yeah, right. You try, exactly. And, to technology and software development, there are always bugs. So you're trying to work through the bugs to get to the point where you can launch. And within the platform, so there are different sections. So overall, as I mentioned, we want caregivers are off. It's a lonely journey often. You're exhausted after your caregiving or you're advocating, and the last thing you want to do is go out somewhere. And often you come up upon family members or friends who don't understand your journey.
Right.
And so this platform enables people to connect with other caregivers who do understand the journey. And the key is, as I mentioned, and as you repeated, is about having fun as well as the seriousness of it. So people can connect in a section of groups, and the groups include your caregiving issues. It could be advanced directives. It could be insurance. It could be activities of daily living. It could be all different caregiving topics. But the groups also include fun topics like photography and movies and travel. And we're always adding those, and we're open to suggestions for that so people can connect. So in the beta test, people have been loving this and there's people all over the world beta testing this. We have about 15 folks from Australia to Europe and of course the US. And it's amazing watching people connecting and sharing and supporting each other. And that is I get goosebumps thinking about this. That's what I wanted it to be, is people sharing and learning and helping each other who get each other. So there's the groups, there's events that people can attend. They're not our events, but we're curating events. People can sign up and go to these events. They're all online because we don't want to make it geographic specific. We want it accessible for everybody. There's a news feed where we bringing in news feeds from all different places. And then there's also the marketplace, which I mentioned.
It sounds wonderful. How will you promote it?
I'll be speaking with people like you on podcasts.
Yeah. No.
I mean, all kidding aside, there is a validity to that. It's getting out there and talking like anybody who is promoting anything. But we'll be doing it through social media. We'll be doing it through partnerships. So I've been developing partnerships, influencers, speaking with influencers. There'll be various ways that we'll be doing it.
Yeah, no, and also this is the best way of doing it, because I know for myself, as you describe it to me and I think about it, I think about the groups that I'm part of and the other professionals that I know, and there's a multiplier effect.
Yeah.
And I think about the care managers I know who are working with caregivers, and the potential for it to grow is huge, and it sounds very exciting. So I'm excited for you.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and it kind of taps into something we've been talking about prior to this, which is my ethos and sort of the ethos that I've had in life in general. Starting when I was young. I mean, I started recording people's life stories when I was a teenager. I'd go into I'd go into older care homes, and back then, this will date me, but back then it was either in writing or on cassette tape.
Right.
And then I morphed it over my life to become video and just sharing. So I've done that sporadically even after that. And that's because of the influence my grandparents had on me. I loved listening to my grandparents' stories. My grandmother, who came to this country as a 6-year-old, and my grandfather and his very interesting journey and stories. So that was something that just left an impression on me. They were both very caring people who gave back, as well as my parents. So my ethos was really about making the lives of people better, easier, and healthier. And so in my professional life, I started out working for a healthcare organization. Back then, people probably knew it as the company with the apple was called US Healthcare.
Sure.
Which ultimately was bought by Aetna. And ironically, today I am having lunch with my first boss there. So small world. So I tried to weave that into everything else I've done throughout my career.
That's really fascinating. I know what drives us, and I say us because myself and my partner, who happens to be my son, is our history. And I always say that I saw my parents take care of their parents, so I did take care of my parents, and my son saw his parents take care of their parents, and I can't say that I had that same trajectory because I never realized it. I came to this later in life. This is my third career, but it's such a gratifying world to be in and to provide these services and to help people on a regular basis. It's I'm thrilled that I found it, no matter what point in life. So what do you think are the most important traits to being an overall effective caregiver or patient advocate?
Well, there are many. It's like it's a job, and it's important to, we from all the caregivers and patient advocates that I speak with, it's hard. It can be very hard at times, and it ebbs and flows. It all depends on our individual situations and how much hands-on caregiving we have to do, and how much advocating we have to do, and scheduling and taking care of ourselves as well. So
Yes.
That's a really important part of it that is challenging for everybody. I'm challenged with that at times too. So I'd say number one is patience. And I'm not just talking about patience for your loved ones who you're caring for, patience with the healthcare system and how things work. But at the same time, there's the counterpart of that, which is another trait that's really important, which is persistence. So you have to be patient, but also persistent. So I'm not one who just I've never been one, and I can thank my dad for this. Never been one to take, well, that's the way it's always done. That's the way we've always done it. That does not resonate well for me. And for any entrepreneur, anybody who's making a change in the world, if everybody just said, okay, that's the way it's always done, we would never have great inventions. We would never have people.
Exactly.
So it's about being persistent, and with the healthcare professionals. Healthcare professionals, I believe, in their hearts, they're doing that because they care, but they're challenged as well. And I think one important part I want to make on the physicians, because I know people can get frustrated, and I can too, is they have hundreds and hundreds of patients that they have to keep track of, and they have to know everything. So when you're sitting with a healthcare professional, especially a doctor or nurse or whoever, but those doctors, they're overwhelmed. Just think you have 1, 2 parents, or maybe three people you're caring for. It's important to be informed. So that's another key trait, is learning, constantly listen, and listen to understand, not just listen to respond. And there's a difference.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And the final one would be compassion. I mean, do your best, and it can be challenging at times, no matter what it is, whether you're in caregiving, whether it's with a child, or whether it's with a significant other. Be compassionate. Try and put yourself in that other person's shoes as best possible. And that is a challenge at times when things are hectic.
Yeah, I think it's something that it's inherent in the individual who becomes the caregiver, whether it's for a family member or if it's professional. And I know from my experience with working with clients and their aides and their home healthcare aides, and how some of them are just so caring and go far beyond the call of duty. And my experience, and maybe I'm just an optimist, is that most home healthcare aides really do care and really want the best. I mean, there are some bad apples, but I've been amazed at seeing what I've seen through the caregivers, and the common denominator is just wanting to help and make a difference in their in this case in their clients' lives.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think that people who go into healthcare, by and large, who are carers in whether it's a home health aide, a CNA, a nurse, a physician, etc., by and large, it comes because they want to help. They're caring. Now, just like anything, life is on a continuum. So you have people who are this caring and people who are this caring. And so taking that and putting that to the side for a moment, one of the things I always find fascinating and really touching are the people who will tell me, I ended up taking care of my mom or my dad or my brother or my sister, whatever it is. They'll say to me, I never realized I had this inside of me. So those who didn't even view themselves as a compassionate, caring person who could do this. And when they do it, you can see it has changed their life and who they are. It's very interesting.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Well, it's certainly the case for me. By my experience with my parents, as it changed with your experience with your parents, put me on a different career path. And it's pretty amazing. And also, within today's society, in the U.S., there's such a huge need for these services and the ability for individuals to take care of their families, or the need for them, because the system is broken. And I'm excited about your project and your app, because that's something that it's really necessary. It's really necessary, and it's kind of multifaceted. And let's go back to that for a while. When you mentioned a marketplace, what did you mean by that?
Yeah, so caregivers and patient advocates, as well as their families and so forth, and patients. The marketplace will be products, books, and services that can help them in ways. And we're to a great extent curating those. And they will be able to not have to go onto Amazon and search for oh my God, which one do I choose? We'll do a lot of that work for them. And it'll be like, okay, well, this looks like an interesting product. Now, keep in mind, they're going to have to make the final decisions. They have to make the decisions. Is this beneficial to them or not? We're not saying this is the one to buy. We're saying we believe this is a good one you should consider. And so, but it'll be in one place. They'll be able to connect with other caregivers on this marketplace, other patient advocates. They'll have the groups that they can be on. There's forums within the groups. There's news, and a marketplace where they can just go and learn about different services and products and books.
Yeah. And, with technology changing so quickly, there are so many new products coming out there that are, that making a difference in people's lives. I'm actually going to do a blog post about this. There's a Hoyer lift, which I had to use for my mom, which is not a fun process. It's actually picking somebody up out of the bed, with a lift, and it's very difficult to use. And through a company that provides home healthcare products, I've found this product that essentially works as a Hoyer lift, but it moves somebody from the side of a bed directly over, and it only takes one person to make the move, and evidently it's covered by Medicare. And I'll definitely turn you on to that and for that product. But there's just so many things, and so many things are changing, and to get that information is not that simple. So I'm excited about your app for many reasons, and that's one of them.
Yeah, I'm excited too. When people think of connecting, there's a lot of places people can connect. I've heard this, many times to people who I've talked to about the app. I said, well, people can use Facebook. Sure, people can go on Facebook and they can create groups and connect. But we want it to be solely focused on on caregiving and patient advocates with people who understand and are like-minded. And we're providing, we will, when we launch soon, we'll provide that for them. And it is exciting. And the products, I definitely want to hear more about that product that you mentioned. Similarly, I came upon one recently, which it seems so simple in a way, but there is a tea kettle and a coffee pot that is on a weighted stand. So people with tremors, like my mom, or people who are not strong enough, which is many patients, all they have to do is it gets filled with water. They don't have to pick it up. It's just like it's on an axis, and it just tilts.
Wow.
Yours. Yeah. I was like, oh my gosh, this is great. So stuff
That's
like
great.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, the key is finding out about it and getting the word out. I belong to a group called the Orion Resource Group, which is made up of people in the geriatric service industries, and the app is perfect for them. And then they'll have that multiplier effect. So they're almost, I think, 200 members, and they're all focused on geriatric care, which is inherent, to the caregiving world. And so I'm excited about helping you spread the word.
Thank you. I look forward to it.
Yeah. So one last thing, is there another professional who you think would be a good guest here that you'd encourage?
Yeah. So there's a person I came upon a few years ago it was before COVID, and I was at a meetup, and yeah, his name is Jeff Rudner, and I think Jeff would be an interesting guest for you. You're both healthcare, but very financial oriented in a different way, and I think Jeff might be an interesting guest for you.
That's great. I look forward to seeking him out and having him as a guest one day.
Yeah, happy to make that introduction.
Okay, so should I be calling you TJ?
People often ask me that. So TJ, there's maybe 5% of people who call me TJ. I answer to both. When I was a kid, I didn't like my first name, so I started TJ. So but most people went by Todd, and professionally, TJ never stuck. But now that I'm older, it's back out there, and I have some good friends that call me TJ. So you're welcome to call me whichever.
Just not late for dinner. Okay, Todd, TJ Keitz. It was great talking to you. I highly recommend people checking out the 1 Day, 1 Week blog, as well as the podcast. His podcast has really phenomenal guests, and I've learned a lot from watching them. So thanks for watching. Thank you, Todd, for coming.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And I look forward to seeing everybody at the next video podcast. Take care.